And we're back. It's a bloody Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. It's your daily crypto news. Yesterday, I asked a question to y'all, and James Holden wrote in. The question was, why are conservatives more pro tech than liberals? And liberal within the word is like, we're liberal, let's try some things. But apparently it doesn't have to do with economy or economics or finance or tech or innovation or pushing the boundaries lately. And I also wondered about China and Hong Kong. And Hong Kong said, well, there's rumored, because there's no direct confirmation from Hong Kong authorities, that there is a spot Bitcoin ETF. But they say that there's a spot Bitcoin ETF and a spot Ethereum ETF in Hong Kong now. And I'm skeptical because, remember, Hong Kong is China. China bans Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin trading. So what are we doing here? Anyway, James Holden, he wrote in and he wanted to give his 2 cents on these things. He said, Matt, I hope this email finds you well. Very formal, James. Thank you. Just like China Asset Management seems like a strange name to me for a company dabbling in spot coin ETFs. Since crypto is banned in China, I too find the tags liberal and conservative not always the most accurate when it's taken literally. To answer your question, I think that conservatives traditionally are free market enthusiasts and see things like crypto as good for consumers. They may not fully understand it, but they believe that capitalism is good, and so they embrace crypto. The liberals, on the other hand, have traditionally been less free market and more regulated market, or certainly just want the government involved. In my opinion, they don't understand crypto, so they tend to fear it. And I see themselves protecting customers from a pitfall of it all. Not here to say what's right or wrong, just my 2 cents. Also, he adds, in a second email, apparently he stewed on this for a little bit and wanted to write back, thanks James. Also, I should have said that you can be a liberal and pro-free market and or crypto. Take yourself as the perfect example. He's talking about me. However, when taken as a whole, the camps tend to embrace the philosophies laid out in the first email. Sorry, didn't mean to offend you. If I did, take care. James, you did not offend me. Y'all, please, if you write in and you want to disagree with anything I say, you can be as brutal as you want, be straightforward as you want. You're not going to offend me. I have pretty thick skin. I love this conversation. That's why I don't mind putting it out there. So for me, this is just a question I have, because I think there's a lot of politically homeless people right now. It's because there's not one size fit all. And if you're trying to find a home in politics, some of your beliefs might not jive with the political party that you might have. Therefore, they will not be friendly to you because of the views that you have, even though you still have some of the views that they have. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green, and so it's kind of frustrating, especially when I think, in my personal opinion, innovation and pushing the boundaries is what we must be doing. By the way, if you heard commercials in this audio, then you can go over Substack. In Substack, you can subscribe $5 a month. It'll be commercial free. Also, there's a lot of bonus materials that are going to be on there for people who are subscribers. Some political commentaries as well. I have 2 shows that I do every week. One is called Deemer DeBello. One is called Lunchtime Happy Hour. One is a radio show that we actually go through, I think it's 6 a.m. stations around the country. And we do just a conversation about some politics. Yeah, just some guys, having fun. And another one's with my buddy who ran for Cleveland mayor, who comes over to my house and we just discuss the weekly news, just more of a way to explore ideas or vent. It's more therapeutic for us. So if you want to listen to those 2, those are also on my Substack. Let's get into today's crypto news. Bitcoin mining stocks, they're kind of lagging because Bitcoin spot ETF has been sucking liquidity from mining stocks. It's like, why would I need to buy stocks in Bitcoin miners if I could buy a spot Bitcoin ETF? And so therefore, they're not buying Bitcoin mining stocks, they're buying Bitcoin spot ETFs. And people are wondering, what is this going to do to the Bitcoin miners during the halving? And so they interviewed CEOs from Riot Platforms, CleanSpark, Marathon Digital, Cypher Mining, and Hut 8. And the companies are relatively comfortable with the financial position they are in for this cycle and are better prepared to withstand the impact of the halving. And why do we say impact of the halving? Because everybody is predicting a pullback after the halving. The halving is now 3 days away. And a lot of people are trying to look at Bitcoin Cash because Bitcoin Cash is a clone of Bitcoin. It's a fork of Bitcoin, not a clone. A fork of Bitcoin. And it also goes through its halving. And it went through its halving a couple of days ago. And Bitcoin price went up and then it went down, looking like about a 15% pullback. And so can we predict the same? Are we having that right now? I personally think, in my opinion, not financial advice, I'm a podcaster. If you take financial advice from me, you're bad. I think we're going to go to the mid to high 50s. I think we're going to pop below 60. I think we're going to go to 57, 56, could touch 55. It's going to be there for a couple weeks, and then we're going to slowly inch back up until we just go nuts. It's going to go gangbusters. And when it goes gangbusters, it will go gangbusters. But I think there's going to be a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt until then. Well, there's some fear, uncertainty, and doubt with Norwegian lawmakers, and they have passed a law placing data reporting requirements on Norway's data centers intended to regulate the use of energy devoted to crypto mining operations. And the purpose of this legislation is so they can close the door on projects they don't want, according to the Digitization Minister, Carrie-Ann Tung. So this new law requires data centers to register with the government, report who owns and manages it, and explain what services they offer. And that's honestly not unfair. Register, report who owns this, and what are you guys doing? I think that's fair. Yeah, that's very fair. But here's when it becomes not fair. And if we missed the red flag already, where they said close the door on projects we don't want, here's where it becomes unfair. They claim that this will help the country direct its energy consumption towards socially useful services and infrastructure. Crypto is not included. Norway produced about 0.77% of Bitcoin's global hash rate. And obviously they're talking about energy uses and CO2 production and so on and so forth. But here's the thing. Bitcoin miners don't emit greenhouse gases. And if you're in Norway, they almost entirely are powered by cheap renewable hydroelectricity. And so what's the beef there? Bitcoin mining already has around 55% sustainable energy usage, higher than any other global industry. And if you're in Norway and you're watching porn, you're consuming much more energy use than Bitcoin is. And so I just really hate this. This is politicizing industry. This is politicizing business. And it doesn't solve the problem. Saying that we're not going to do this, but we're going to do that, doesn't make us have more sustainable energy or talk about greenhouse gases. It's basically just regulatory capture. We're going to say this is acceptable and this is not. This business can thrive, this business cannot. And that is definitely not the purpose of government. Absolutely a shame. Speaking of a shame, it's a shame that Solana has issues. It's congested, and so it's very hard to use. But the first network update to begin addressing weeks of growing congestion that made Solana incredibly difficult to use rolled out yesterday. And this is version 1.17.31 release of the Agave Validator client. This is not meant for a singular fix, by the way. This is just kind of like a patch. This is just the first step, a little patch to try to, push things forward. We're basically waiting on version 1.18. And so what has changed? I don't understand any of this, so if you do, good for you, let me know. I'm just going to read some of them with the words that I actually can properly read. So what has changed? Show state versus non-state packets sent down and throttled. Banking stage forward filter. Tighten the minimum streams per 100 milliseconds for stake nodes. And default stake client in local cluster. Whatever that means. And so, does all this solve the Solana congestion? No. This is an interesting one. Voting started today on a deal negotiated between the Screen Actors Guild and members of the recording industry that limits record labels from using artificial intelligence with actors' voices. This deal says if the companies are going to use any kind of AI tool for digital voice replication, they will have to secure the written consent of the artist to do that. Not only will they have to secure that, but they'll have to do it in a separate writing. It can't be part of the royalty agreement or the main performer contract, which I think this is all really good. Like, first name that comes to my mind is Nicole Kidman. So if Nicole Kidman has a contract, you can't just say because some kind of weird clause is in the contract, you can start using her voice. You're gonna have to come back with another piece of paper that says, hey, we're gonna use your voice, sign or not sign. I think that's totally cool. That's exactly how it should be done. Recording studios must provide reasonably specific details about the intended use of the digital replication and cannot rely on a generic contract that grants unrestricted use. That is wonderful, and I think that's a great thing, to be honest with you. The thing here is I wonder how they're going to value this. And I wonder if they're going to value the voice contract with, say, Nicole Kidman or Scarlett Johansson, people who have, I would say Scarlett Johansson more so, has a very unique voice. Will they value that, or will they value somebody who's now a voice engineer and they can engineer AI voices that are separate from Scarlett Johansson's, maybe in the like of Scarlett Johansson's with that little raspiness, that vocal fry she has. It's very distinct. But you can have a sound engineer just start engineering AI voices. So what's going to be more value? I'm curious to see how that turns out. But also, Senators want to ban AI copycats. There's a No Fakes Act, which I really hate some of these names. It's like, who names this crap? Anyway, this was introduced by Senators Blackburn, Tillis, Klobuchar, Coons. And this was introduced in October of 2023. And they basically want to have federal rights or law that establishes that artists and frankly anybody has the right to control and use their own image, voice, likeness by AI technology, and that everyone has the right to consent and they need to consent. And I think that's a good law too. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, you just can't know Dan at the shop and then start making AI versions of Dan and Dan's voice and then start using them for marketing if you use at the shop. Maybe you're a business owner and you start using Dan. I think that's just absolutely crazy. Too bad it seems like they're still dragging their feet on this and this has not passed, and our digital identities and our digital world and our data has been exploited beyond recognition, all beyond recognition. Now our cars are getting involved, our phones are listening to us, and yada yada, and Congress is sitting on their ass not doing shit. But, I digress. And finally, STEPN is a Solana-based move to earn application, and they've announced a partnership with global footwear brand Adidas to introduce an exclusive non-fungible token sneaker collection. And this is called the STEPN X Adidas Genesis sneaker. It's going to be on the More Marketplace from Wednesday, tomorrow, and it offers both digital and physical rewards. The STEPN X Adidas Genesis sneaker collection consists of 1,000 unique NFTs with early access for 200 STEPN users, while 790 will be offered to the general public through a raffle. The remaining 10 NFTs will be used for marketing purposes. So if you want to get your hands on some STEPN X Adidas Genesis sneakers, you're going to have to cough up around 10,000 GMT or around $2,500. $2,500. Speaking of $2,500, let's take a look at those crypto prices.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
And the time is 9:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fear greed's at 60. We are greedy barely. At 59, we are neutral. That's a long way off from extreme greed we were a couple weeks ago. And that's because we're down 4.8% in 24 or almost 11% in 7 for Bitcoin. We're sitting at $63,000. Ethereum is at $3,076, down 4.8% as well, or 15% in 7. Titles number 3, Binance is at $539, down almost 7% in 24. And Solana is at $132, down 12.8% in 24, or almost 25% in 7. And I'm kind of giggling there because, I'm like, oh, BTFD, this is a great buying opportunity. Well, there's been a lot of them. There's been a lot of them. But remember, Solana was up well over $200, so you could probably double your money, maybe? I don't know. This is not financial advice. I'm a podcaster. I'm sitting here rambling the news. I read the news. I read this. I don't make it. I don't go. I'm not an investigative journalist. I'm not out there, being a gumshoe. I'm just at home reading what people put on the internet. And so don't listen to me about any of this crap. But 132? That seems like a good buying opportunity. Anyway, running off the top 10, we have USDC, XRP, Dogecoin. Toncoin is down to 615, down 13%. Yikes. And Cardano's number 10. The total market cap is down 5.5%. It's at $2.3 trillion. Bitcoin dominance is 54.2 and ETH dominance is 16.2. And that's our show today. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, just go over to Substack, subscribe. You can get the episodes or summaries there for free, and you can DM me or write comments to the articles. It's a good way to just directly communicate with me. Obviously, you can email Matt at dailycryptonews.net. You can email Sarah at dailycryptonews.net. And please do me a favor, go to Apple Podcasts, like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment. If you're on Spotify, click those 5 stars, and until tomorrow,
happy halving.